That was ZEITGEIST Addendum, directed, created, written by Peter Joseph, and we're very fortunate to have Peter at this event here tonight, all the way from New York. Please welcome into the stage Mr. Peter Joseph.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming to this and watching it again. Can you hear me okay? Okay. So, would you like to begin? I'm just going to go ahead and go straight into questions. I think the movie is pretty self-explanatory. So, anything you want to throw at me, I think we're going to go around with a microphone.
Yeah, I've got a microphone here, so, I mean, who wants to be first? Who's got a question? All right, well, seeing as he's standing right next to me,
this might be tough.
Dan.
Hello there, my man. Thank you very much for that. I've been watching it all week, actually. Looking forward to you being here. The question I've got is that, as I understand it, at the moment, as a population, we're using up about 3 times the amount of resources that the Earth can sustain. So I think Ecological Debt Day is somewhere in April, which means that after that, we're using up stuff which the Earth can't replace. So if we've got an estimation that the population would be stable and sustainable on our planet at around about 1.5 billion, it seems to me we've got 3 choices in a resource-conscious or a resource-orientated new world. And that would be either we need to raise efficiencies by 3 times to accommodate the current population we have, without disrupting biodiversity and hopefully making a better job of biodiversity than we've got now. Or we need to reduce the population or regulate it somehow. And the missing bit I didn't see in the film, because I'm loving everything I'm hearing, is how if everybody has every opportunity and everything's supplied for everyone, how do we keep the world sustainable in terms of population? Do you have a method of regulation at all?
When you say resources, do you mean energy, or do you mean food, or do you mean, broadly speaking, that...
Everything. I mean, basically we've got...
based on the research, based on the research that I have become familiar with, is first of all that the energy and food resources that we utilize, specifically energy, we are using a maximum amount of what we currently have accessible to us based on the established traditions that are available, based on what the establishment is perpetuating. But as I denoted in the film, as far as energy alone, there's a complete abundance for many, many multiples, if you do the math on it, of at least probably 10 times our current population, because the sea alone has so much more energy capacity of things I didn't even go into, from the heat divisions of the ocean alone, which is rampant throughout. You can use that as energy sources. I can't remember the exact name of it. Energy is not out of abundance whatsoever.
No. It wasn't about electricity. I can well imagine that. Okay. Even with geothermal, there's a million different resources beyond oil that's not a problem.
And
it's more about food and biodiversity.
As far as arable land area, how much arable land area do we have to grow food is what it comes down to. And reality is that we can create arable land area. You can have hydroponic greenhouses, and tons of them in the middle of the desert. All you do is tap straight down to the water table. You can grow food out in the middle of the ocean if you wanted to. Hydroponic, any vegetable type of technology, any kind of vegetable food production, produce, is so abundant, it's simply a matter of how many seeds you have. It's just creating the environment. We don't maximize it because of our current environment, because we use arable land area. We manipulate it, we destroy the environment through different types of additives that are created. So food production, no, I completely disagree. Based on the research that's been thrown my way about what is actually possible technologically, there's no sign that there's any shortage of food whatsoever.
And looking at the monocultures that are turning up with biofuels and such like, is that going to, within these new technologies of food production, is there a plan within the Venus Project to keep it sustainable in terms of maintaining a rich biodiversity as well, rather than having monocultures just to deal with an escalating population? And do you think the population will just escalate if we allow that?
Yeah, first of all, cities in the sea will eventually happen. And it's not a fantasy whatsoever. 70% of our entire world is water. So cities in the sea will be an expansion. And Jacques Fresco, the Venus Project, if you look farther into what he's done, he's actually built, and he has full productions where he's talked about cities in the sea and utilization of the sea from not only from food production, but from people living to energy. It's a beautiful concept in my mind. And eventually, when populations grow too far, there's so many possibilities that we could easily, and I mean over long periods of time, we will eventually leave the planet anyway. So, and as far as the biodiversity, is that what you meant as far as energies? As far as what did you mean by biodiversity?
Well, we need biodiversity, because otherwise, if we have monocultures, then there's a chance that a single virus can come in and sweep everybody.
Define your terms for me. What do you mean by monocultures? Because these are.
If you look at, say, monocrops, there's a risk with that. Apart from all the obvious stuff that people know about, which is we lose all of our hedgerows and all of the rich wildlife, and just the aesthetic interest of biodiversity, but also the biological necessity to cover the full spectrum of biodiversity in order to self-sustain it. I.e., if you take one thing out of the chain, then a lot of the rest of the chain starts to collapse.
Right. Now, he has absolute biodiversity in that context, by all means, because there's